Local productions on QTV are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to Junia Doan's The Spark. I'm Junia Doan. Thank you for joining us today. My guest is David Neal, a United States Army veteran who served 2 deployments in Iraq as a signal support systems specialist. David continued to develop his computer skills from the Army and is now co-owner of BT Tech. Welcome, David. Well, Dave, I'm thrilled to have you here because what you're in by way of work field is the story of today and tomorrow. But tell us, what does BT Tech do?
Well, BT Tech does a multitude of things. So starting from a network standpoint, we build network infrastructures like firewalls, wireless, switching, routing, that type of stuff. We also do server builds, so servers, workstations, shared drives, things like that. And then we get into the infrastructure, so we do things like fiber optics, Cat6 cabling, and then we have a security side, so we do camera systems, door access control, and things of that matter. Pretty much holistic solutions for technology in general.
What do you in particular do? What side of the business are you on?
So I do the network engineering and a lot of the security engineering.
How did you learn that?
I started off in the military learning it. I worked with computer networks and a little bit of security stuff in the military, and then I went to Davenport University and then got a dual bachelor's degree in computer networking and network security, and then a lot of the certifications and stuff I hold after that were self-taught or classes that I signed up for. And as I furthered in the field, I broke off into different avenues to learn additional fields.
I'm told things go so fast. How do you keep up on which direction needs to be under your belt in terms of understanding and utilizing?
It's difficult. There are what's called continuing education credits for many of the certifications I hold. So they put on seminars and classes each year that will keep you up to date with the new trends and technologies, and likewise with new threats and things to look out for, or to design networks a certain way in order to try to combat these new style threats.
When you were in the Army, how did you get into the program that, or maybe you knew beforehand, that taught you how to be this specialist?
So when I joined the Army, I looked for a job that I would be able to transition into civilian life when I got out, and signal kind of caught my interest. So I joined and started learning about radios and wireless and mobile networks and satellite communications, and as I got more and more involved in it, the more and more I liked the field, and the more and more I would train and volunteer for additional classes and things like that to continue my education and to learn.
Do you have the option of doing that in the Army? I mean, you have basic training, and then what happens after that?
After basic training, you go to what's called AIT, or Advanced Individual Training. So every soldier will go to basic training and learn, the basic soldier skill sets, and then after that, you go to advanced training where you learn your job specifically. So in my particular job, I would learn radios and how to build networks and how to utilize encryption with radios to keep conversations secret and different things like that.
But early on, do you pick the field, or does the field pick you?
Oh, you pick it. Yeah.
Oh, how
so you
wonderful.
take like an assessment test, and then the assessment test called the ASVAB, and that will qualify you for different jobs. You have to score a certain level in order to qualify to be able to even get certain jobs in the Army. So.
Do they have practice as well?
Absolutely, yep. There's practice ASVAB tests. You start in high school, and high school is where I took my initial ASVAB test.
You did?
Yes.
You were really aware.
Yeah, well, I think everybody takes it. Or in my particular school, everybody took it, and then if you chose to pursue the military, then.
So if I may ask, what traits came forward in your test? Or how did they look to get the guide that this would be good for you?
They look for high math skills, paragraph and word comprehension, whether you're able to read a complex paragraph and decipher what you read, problem solving, critical thinking, those types of things are some of the categories that they judge you on or get your overall score from.
So what kind of organizations need your company? Is it mostly business or personal, or tell me?
It's all over the board, and at BT Tech we don't discriminate, so we do houses and businesses, and we do large schools. In the home, typically we're doing security systems, camera systems, like we install a lot of Ring, so door and window contact sensors. If someone that breaks into your home, you'll get alerted, and it can call 911 for you and things like that. Motion alert cameras that will let you know when somebody's at your house before they even make it to your house.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, building and wireless throughout homes. And then from the business aspect, we do lots of security systems like that, lots of camera systems. And
when you're on Ring, can you really talk to a person outside and they talk to you so you can understand them?
Absolutely. Ring is a very powerful system. So they have freeze and flood sensors that go in your basement to detect water. They have smoke and CO alarms. If your house catches on fire and you're not there, it can alert you that there's smoke in your house. You can integrate locks, so you can remotely unlock your front door if you want to, if you have a family member or something coming over to drop something off. Camera, motion alerts, there's all kinds of stuff. You can tie in all your exterior lighting, have motion sensors to where when you start walking up, your whole pathway of lighting up to your door will light up for you, and all sorts of things.
Quite a range.
Yeah, they're definitely.
Way more than I was aware of.
Definitely have a lot of integratable things.
To me, it's wonderful. On the other hand, it's really sad that the trust in your neighbor and neighborhood is diminishing.
Sure.
Yeah, that really bothers you. What else should a private person have if they, say, have in a house? An apartment might be different because that's done by
well, Ring even has a solution for the apartment. It's a replacement for where your peephole is on your door. And it's likewise a camera, so if somebody comes and goes in front of your door or rings your doorbell or something in your apartment, you're still able to see them, have a two-way audio and, one-way video conversation with that person to either tell them, I'm not home right now, or, please leave that by the door or whatnot.
Is there a trick to making the audio audible, clear?
It depends on how good of an internet connection you have. So most people will have a solid internet connection. It doesn't take anything out of the ordinary for how much bandwidth it utilizes, but as long as you have a decent wireless connection for it to connect to, then
it should work.
It's very good audio.
I read a lot about these electromagnetic waves and that 5G, which is coming everywhere from however it's going to come, can get into your system where the lower does not. But it doesn't. We don't know yet how that can affect people.
Sure.
Have you any information on that?
I'm afraid I'm in the dark on that. I haven't noticed any adverse effects with me, but
because you have 5G.
Well, everybody has 5G. Pretty much all of wireless will operate on 2.4 and 5 gigahertz wireless. There's
But now do we have it in
Oh, you're
Midland?
talking about 5G, like the cellular 5G?
Yes.
Okay, so
Or through Wi-Fi, is that considered the same?
well, 5G LTE is a little different from the 5 gigahertz wireless band and that you would see from a wireless access point. Like here, there's building wireless, and there's separate radio waves from the 2.4 gigahertz network to the 5 gigahertz network. And they operate on a different radio frequency, so 2.4 radio waves will be long and like this, as to the 5 gigahertz range are short and much faster data transfer rates, but much less distance.
So the 5G applies to both wireless and what was the other?
Like cellular, 4G, LTE you have now on your phone, and
Yes.
5G is coming out. I'm actually very excited about 5G.
Say why?
The data rates are going to be exponentially better than what we have on 4G LTE. So there's talk that they're going to be 5 to 10 times faster than our current 4G LTE, which would allow people to have internet connections at a very affordable cost that yield high upload and download speeds.
So if the wireless company does, who would be doing the 5G?
Oh, it would be
It's the
AT&T
transmission or the cities
yeah,
or the
yeah,
people
it
or
would
the
be-
businesses?
It would be Verizon, AT&T, your different cell phone carriers. They would equip new equipment on their cellular towers and put out this new technology from there. There's some pilot cities around the nation that have it already, but as they deploy it nationwide, then everybody will be able to utilize it. And we utilize those for remote internet connections. We have clients that are, a little further out
Yes.
and don't really have charter or a solid internet connection. We utilize some newer technology like a cradle point, and we're able to take like a MiFi device and take the SIM card out of it and put it in this device, and people are actually running internet connections in their house through 4G LTE, and they're yielding download speeds of 130 megabytes per second, where a basic charter connection to your house is only 100 meg. So even faster than basic charter. But your only limitation to that is what type of plan you have for your wireless MiFi.
Is there a way, when Charter took over, one of the channels I liked, One American News, was dropped?
Yes.
Even though I wrote the FCC, please make sure that this continues. So is there a way for me to tune into them without Charter?
I would assume there are lots of streaming television
I see.
applications like YouTube Live TV, Hulu, places like that. They all post their different channel guides, I guess you would call it, and you can see which one of them has the specific channels you're looking for and subscribe to them. That's gaining popularity because you can have one service among multiple TVs and pay, $40 or $50 for the month and have it on 5 or 6 different TVs. Or if you travel a lot, you're able to take it with you and have your streaming television from wherever you're at.
So I do everything on my phone,
Sure.
or try to. But sometimes the downloads are too great, or you have to send it differently. What should I avoid thinking that my phone can do that it can't? I don't do spreadsheets on
Sure.
the phone, but
Sure. And it depends on your platform. So on the Google platform, you have Gmail or the G Suite,
right.
and they'll have integrated slides or a converter to look at different
Yes.
spreadsheets and stuff like that. But with today's phones, there's really not much you can't do on a phone that you can do on a computer. I mean, the modern phones have Snapdragon processors and 8 and 12 gigs of RAM that is just as powerful as most, business grade desktops.
Do you have an idea or a recommendation on how have more privacy from your emails, whether it's Google or AOL or Yahoo or any other?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer.
Oh, I love difficult questions. Give us a few ideas.
Okay, so obviously chain mail, things like that are things you're going to want to stay away from. There are lots of spoof emails. Gmail in particular has spam filters that try to protect you as best as possible. So when I receive an email, as silly as it sounds, I think to myself, am I expecting this email? Not necessarily that, hey, I talked to John and John's sending me an email, but would I be expecting to receive an email from this type of person? If it's from XYZ company and it says pay your invoice immediately, and I've never done business with XYZ company, you know, it might not be a good idea to click on that attachment. And that's how as criminals evolve, they try to think how to get somebody to click on a link or to download some sort of malware, and those are the ways that they do it. You know, people being past due on a bill or something, they tend not to think and they just click. Oh no, I don't want to be late. I don't want, you know, to go to collections or whatever. So they'll just click and there will be nothing there, and they're like, huh, all right, well that's weird. And meanwhile, they just downloaded some malware to their computer and have no idea. So then another thing to look for, lots of my clients will say, hey, I got a document sent to me from my Xerox printer, and I can't seem to open the attachment. My first question is, do you have a Xerox printer? And they'll say, well, no. And I said, okay, if you don't have a Xerox printer, but a Xerox printer sent you something, it's probably malware. So certain things like that, you just have to use a lot of common sense and kind of take a minute before you just randomly start clicking on things to whether or not they make sense. And some of them are very realistic. You know, they might have some weird spelling errors, or another thing you can do is they'll have links attached. So, you know, like a blue clickable link, you can hover your mouse over that and it will show the actual link that it's taking you to. So if it doesn't match with what you're about to click on, it might say, you know, google.com/this search or that search, and what you're actually going to is a completely different link. That's a good indication that, you know, they're spoofing that link and taking you to a download page of some sort of malware or something similar to that.
Is there anything else a person can do?
Yeah, keep up-to-date antivirus. Firewalls are very important. I install firewalls regularly. Typically, business owners will have firewalls. There's not too many homeowners that will pay for a firewall to be installed in their house. But you can keep things like Malwarebytes or some of the different antiviruses on your computer. But the important thing is to let them update. 9 times out of 10, when I am looking at a computer that's not running right, it'll say, you know, updates awaiting to be installed, and it'll pop up and say there's updates for this software or that software, and people just decline them or tell it, you know, later. Well, all of those updates are updates to your antivirus database that, you know, all the newest threats that are out there, it's patching those so it can stop them. So by delaying it or telling it not to install, you're not getting the most up-to-date protection on your computer or on your network. So
I didn't really know that. I'm glad we covered this subject a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And do you have an idea of how to keep your phone fast? In other words, open, how many programs you should have, or apps, or?
Absolutely. So there's applications like TDS Task Killer. So what an application like that is going to do is look for any program that's running in the background. So if you open up a program and you're looking at your pictures on your phone, or you're on your banking website or this or that, and you just black your screen out and put it in your purse or in your pocket, you're not actually closing that program out. So what happens is you'll have 15 or 20 applications operating at the exact same time. So a program like TDS Task Killer is going to say, when my screen is blacked out, kill everything that's running in the background, and it'll automatically close things for you. A computer is no different than a phone. They have available hard drive space with processing power and stuff like that. So the more things you download and have currently running, the slower your phone or your computer will get. So I try to tell people, like me in particular, one thing that I do is when I download stuff on my computer, I'll put everything on my desktop. And people will look at me and say, well, why is there so much stuff on your desktop? I'm like, well, it doesn't go into my documents or get lost. You know, when people's My Documents folder are filled with stuff and they have a 2 or 3 year old computer, they can literally have hundreds of gigs of stuff that they don't need that they'll never use again. By keeping it all on my desktop, when it gets real cluttered, then I will take the time to clean it all out, to either put it on my network storage device if I need to keep it, or if it's a file that I can get rid of, I can then get rid of it. But it's never stored on my documents or somewhere on my computer that I can't see it.
Can't be nagged by.
Yeah. So when it goes to a place like that, you never search, a data sheet for this or that type of equipment, or when I'm designing out, systems, I got to look at a lot of cut sheets or specification sheets to different equipment, and so I download them all. So after I design or I win that job and I do that job, I probably will never look at that cut sheet ever again. So I leave it on my desktop, and then when I'm done with it, I can delete it or file it away, but it doesn't stay on my desktop.
Do you have a thought about how often you want to replace a computer or a system, or how to even ask yourself?
Sure.
Whether you're personal or business? I know there are 2 categories.
Yeah, so it depends how much you utilize it. So what I see the most often for homeowners or personal computers is they may utilize a computer 1 or 2 times a week, and other than that, their computer is either off or, and set off to the side. What happens is Windows updates don't get installed and things like that. So they'll get behind, and then when they turn their computer on, they're like, well, I just need to upload this picture or that picture to Facebook. I don't have time to be downloading all these updates. So they just ignore all these updates or things like that. They just want to complete 1 or 2 tasks and be done with it. And then the computer is trying to say, oh, well, I have 4 hours of downloads and 2 hours of install time, and people don't want to deal with it, so they'll just close it, and that will really kill the longevity of your computer. So keeping stuff up to date is very important, but typically in a business environment you should plan to replace your computer every 2 to 3 years, which seems like not very long. But
no, it isn't very long.
Technology,
more than a car.
Yeah, but computers are much more inexpensive than they were years and years ago. You can get a business grade desktop computer for $400, $500, and it's not the end of the world. But backups are important. So with today's viruses and the different things that break, or the malware that you get, if you have a good clean backup, a computer can be restored very quickly, and you don't lose any information. So
should you back up daily if it's used daily?
It depends how important your information is. So I always ask people, how detrimental would it be to you if you lost the work you did yesterday? And they say, well, it's not the end of the world. And I say, well, okay, well, you could probably back up once or twice a week. But for the people that say it would be detrimental, or I would have to redo this and that, and those are the people I say, oh, well, you can maybe do backups daily or incremental backups. Incremental backup will do a full backup one day, and then anything that's changed from yesterday to today, it'll back up just that small bit of data that's changed, and that'll happen 3 or 4 times before they'll do another full backup. So it's not as resource intensive.
What skills do you have to have by way of personality to be good in this field?
Customer service is definitely number one. I mean, you're here to serve people. So almost every time you go to a service call, that's like end of the world stuff for your client.
Yes, that's
like,
true.
Whether it's a printer that's not working and they're trying to write a check for somebody, or or they don't have access to a certain share on their network, or I mean, these are all very, very detrimental problems to an end user. So when they call you and you show up, a lot of them are very frustrated because they've been trying to fix this on their own for 5 hours, and they finally decided to call you. So you just need to be, very polite and very positive and reassuring that you'll get them taken care of, and explain certain things to them, and that type of thing. But it's good to remain calm.
And do you have enough personnel, if they call you, you can get there promptly?
Absolutely, yeah. We always respond, and sometimes we have ongoing jobs, but
Right.
everything's always prioritized. If I have a client that's down or something's not working, that takes priority over everything, and somebody will leave a current job to go fix that.
You're good. Thank you, Dave. So, we have learned a great deal. One, even though he's in a technical field that has great future, potential, it's important always that the human relationships be solid. And what's solid? To recognize your customer comes first, especially if things are going wrong, and that you stay steady and reassure them that their problems can be mitigated, can be resolved promptly, hopefully. And the other thing, the preparation I thought was very interesting, is you could take a test earlier on to see, in high school, to see where your talents lay. And that he went into the Army, and I didn't know that about the Army, that they have a range of things, and you can actually choose what you want to study and become proficient in. And he was quite ambitious, because then he finished off at Davenport University, and makes it his business to stay current because it's a fast-moving field. So basically what I learned, which is true in many areas, go to an expert. Go to someone who is really keen on keep learning and to be efficient in their ways. So I thank you for tuning in, and remember, do something kind and generous for someone every day, and I'll see you next week. Have a good week. Thank you, Dave. That was just great.
To contact Junia, send her an email at juniadonsthespark@gmail.com. For more information, program schedules, and news about future guests, go to www.juniadonsthespark.com. Thank you for joining us. See you next time on Junia Doan's The Spark.
Local productions on QTV are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.